Neighbour called code enforcement on me about my lawn without even speaking directly to me first. Now, I'm really gonna piss him off. A little background info. My wife and I purchased our house a few years ago, and the day we moved in, our neighbour, Roger, called the cops on us for moving in too loud. We weren't playing music or even talking amongst ourselves, just my wife and I moving our belongings into our new house. Cops came. I explained that I was just moving in and they apologised for bothering us. Roger, in all of his retired proud boy glory, comes out of his house immediately after they left to let us know that he is the one that called the cops, and in more words says he is setting the tone for our new life. Even still, we were super cordial with the guy because we wanted to make a good impression in our new neighbourhood. It's our first home, and it was important to us to make it homey. About a year or so later, our first son is born. We let our property fall to the back burner while we adjusted to parenthood, and a few newspapers piled up on our driveway, and in the rain sort of melt onto our driveway. All on our property. Roger comes knocking on our door to complain. I tell him that we're sorry and we let it get away from us. I explain that we have a newborn son and I would get to it ASAP. He digs in and starts telling me when he was a new father he didn't let anything affect his property, and he tells me I'm being lazy. I said, then why don't you pick it up if you're so worried about it? To which he says, no, I want you to pick up the fucking mess. I was trying to be semi-cordial still because I'm not interested in unnecessary conflict with my neighbour, so I told him, fine, I'll get to it, and he left. Later that year, Roger comes over one day to ask if he can trim the trees that hangs over my fence onto his side of the fence, and I'm fine with it, so I say no problem. And he casually mentions how one time when a 17-year-old kid's friend with a delinquent drug addict son at the time broke into his garage, he hit him in the head with a baseball bat until he was retarded, and the police came and he was cleared of all responsibilities because it was a break-in. He's smiling and laughing while telling me this. Noted, I think to myself. This guy is a fucking piece of shit psychopath. Well, it's a couple of years later now with a few more minor run-ins, but nothing too significant. And my wife and I just had our second son 1 month ago. About 10 days ago, son isn't even 3 weeks old at this time, I get a notice at my door saying my lawn is in violation of the city's code. I mowed it 2 days before my son was born, so it's been about 3 weeks since I mowed it and it's been raining since. I have 48 hours to comply. I call the number on the card and no answer. So I call the non-emergency line to verify what my responsibility is because of the vague wording on the door hanger. It's because one of the types of grass in my lawn, growing very sparsely like 1 blade per square inch, is over 12 inches tall. The majority of the grass was like 2 to 3 inches long, but there was another type there as well that grew faster. I told them that I'm a new father and asked for an extension to deal with it later. They said don't even worry about lawn, just take care of the baby. So now with some newfound confidence I mow my lawn in a spiral shape, leaving lots of grass remaining as a middle finger to whoever, we know who it was at this point in the story, right? Called the cops on me about my lawn. A couple of days later, Roger talks to me over our shared backyard fence and asks about my lawnmower and if it's busted or something. I told him, no, I just have more important priorities than mowing my lawn, and tell him about my new son. And then I ask if he was the one that called the cops on me about it. He said he called code enforcement, but not on me. He called on my new neighbours on the other side, a really nice Mexican family who is always diligent about their lawn and always working outside on their new property. He says code enforcement must have happened to notice my lawn when they went to follow up on his call next door. At this point I say something along the lines of, look, I'm a pretty fucking cool guy. If you have concerns about my property then you can speak with me directly. He swears up and down he didn't call on me, and that it was just a coinkydink? Yeah, whatever. About a week after that, yesterday, he knocks on my door, and I already know what's coming. I answer the door, kind of chuckling, and greet him. He's kind of chuckling too at this point because it's fucking ridiculous. He says,
Hey, so you said I could talk to you if I had an issue with your property?
I tell him, yeah, by all means. He gestures to my lawn and asks what it's all about. I say, it's kind of like a middle finger to whoever called code enforcement on me. He is irate. Says if it's a middle finger to him, I stop and remind him that he told me he didn't call them on me, so he shouldn't feel targeted. He ignores me and restarts his sentence the same way again. So I cut him off again and say, I specifically am telling you it's not a middle finger to you, Roger. He says,
if it's a middle finger to me, then this means war.
Over what? I asked him, laughing. He's getting bigger and huffier by the second and tells me I'm a lazy piece of shit and my property is in shambles. Lol. And that all the other neighbours mow their lawn. I remind him I have a newborn son and that my lawn can suck my dick for now. He puffs up as big as he can and says,
I never had this issue when I was a new father.
I told him I don't give a shit about what he did as a dad. Ironically enough, his drug addict son lives in the house on the other side of him and causes trouble in the neighborhood regularly. Cars peeling out, people screaming at each other, drug addicts always waiting outside, etc. Now he tells me he's going to call code enforcement on me every day, and I tell him to get the fuck off my property. He says,
move me.
So I tell him I'm calling the cops, and he says, do it. So I grab my phone and start dialing. He walks to the sidewalk and keeps yelling at me about how I'm lazy and not fit to own my property. Cops come to speak with us. Very anticlimactic. They did make sure to let him know that he needs to get off my property when I say so, and that's all I wanted from them. Tomorrow I'm going to take my hedge trimmers and mow my maize down to 11 inches. Fuck you, Roger. Well guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you're subscribed because we will be dropping regular videos and you do not want to miss one. If you want more, check out our podcast. Links to everything in the description below as always, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Peace out.